Hey there, welcome back. So today we're going to be fixing our game win-lose conditions, as well as cleaning up our scripts a little bit, and then also adding a little feature where your game will remember where the scroll bar was in the level select scene when you go back to it from the game. Let's get started. Hey there! So today we're going to be looking at making sure the game manager is able to control the win-lose state, as well as generally cleaning up some more of the interactions between the game manager, the grid, and the top UI. So let's get right into it here. First thing I want to do, if you'll notice from last time, if we hit play and I go through my stage here very quickly, you'll see that I won, but in the background I can keep playing, which is not what we want. So let's fix that first. So the way that we're going to do that is currently we have an interaction from the grid to the game manager where we're emitting a signal to tell it whether or not it can work or whether or not we can move. So what I want to do is I want to emit a signal from the game manager to the grid to tell it to set its state to be not can move, or to set can move to be false. So in the game manager here, I'm going to open up this script. And let's take a look. Let's make a new signal. And I'm going to call this signal game over, or maybe level complete. And that'll be if it's either won or lost. So level complete. Alright, and then when we're checking for the game win, if the goals are met, we're already emitting that game one signal. So we can actually just leave that alone. Look at that. Don't need to program anything new really. So from our game manager here, we're going to go to our node, and our game one is going to connect also to the grid. And on game one, which is going to be all the way down here at the bottom, we're going to say can move is equal to false. Alright, and now let's try that out to make sure that if we win, we can't keep playing the game in the background. So this might take, no, it won't take a second. Just give me a moment here. Alright, so everything is settled. And now in the background, if I try to swap some pieces, I can't do that. So there we go, that fixes that. Now, the next thing I want to do is make sure that my game loss is working correctly. So let's go back to the game manager script here. And let's take a look at what we have for our game loss. And we don't actually have anything. So what that currently means is that we don't have a way to make sure that the game is being lost. So if I were to change something here, let's go to my game manager. Let's make this max counter value something really small, like 10, so that I can play through it pretty. Let's go even smaller. Let's go 5, so that it's seconds. If I hit play here, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We're not getting a game over, and we can still play. So let's make it so that when our counter value reaches 0, we create a game loss, and then also tell the grid that we can't move anymore. So let's take a look inside of our game manager script, and let's first start with where we're changing that counter value. Sorry for that weird cut. So inside the game manager script here, where we're doing all of our counter management is down here in the on-grid update counter. So what we're doing is we're checking to see if it's his moves, we're reducing the counter, and then if it's less than or equal to 0, we're setting it equal to 0. We're doing the same thing with timeout. But what we want to do is if it's equal to 0 here, what we want to do is change it so that we're emitting a game lose signal, and then that game lose panel comes up. So to do that, we're going to create another signal here with our goal information for game lost. So signal game lost, and then down here where we were updating the counter, we're going to emit that signal, game lost. And we're going to emit that signal for if it's a timer level as well. Lost. And actually, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here. So these two methods are pretty much duplicating each other. So I'm going to make a new method that I'm going to call generally update counter. So function update counter, and this is going to do exactly what we're looking for here. So let's grab this, let's copy that, and let's paste there. So what this was doing with these two different versions here, actually all I want is the current counter minus stuff. And then let's bring this back one level. There we go. So if is moves, then we want to update counter. I'm just doing this so that it's a little bit simpler and we're not duplicating our code quite as much. I don't always think about doing stuff like this at the time, but then when I go back through and review my scripts, I'll see places where I can make things more more simple. Alright, so we're going to save that. Now when we update our counter, actually the game loss signal is what I want to update here. So game loss, I'm going to connect that to a few different places. First I'm going to connect it to the game over panel. And what I want to do with that is slide in. I also want to connect that signal with the grid and do the same thing I did before. So game lost connected to the grid, and we're going to say can move is false. Alright, so let's try this now. We still have only 5 seconds to reach our goal. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Game over. Oh, looks like it keeps emitting that signal. So we need to make sure that it only emits the signal once. So in our game manager script here, let's make sure, let's actually take a look at some of the variables I already have here. Game 1 is false. Where am I using this game 1 at? I have a feeling I made it, but then I never actually used it. Okay, so I've got game 1 is true. Oh, okay, so I am using that. So let's use var game lost false, and then that way when we update our goals or update our counter, we're going to say if not game lost, then we're going to emit the signal to do the game lost and then set game lost equal to true. Let's also make sure that that counter stops, that timer. So did I give the timer a name as an onReady variable? I did not. What did I call it when I made it a child? I called it move timer. So let's make the move timer stop timing down. So move timer dot, is it active or dot wait time is to change the time. Sorry, I'm not remembering what to do here. So the process mode, we want to do the one shot equals true so that we're not going to redo it. Okay, let's try this now. So we've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then here comes the game over, and it's not coming in again and again. So we're going to quit. Alright, now, if we're doing the game lost, then we're not making the next level active, which is good. So that should be fine. Alright, now let's start kind of pulling some stuff out here. Let's open up our screens here. Let's start with the game over panel. So this isn't going to use grid game over anymore, so let's delete that. And let's get rid of this pass here. And let's get rid of this pass here too. Now, it's currently changing the scene to be the game menu, but I'd rather have it change back to be the level map. So that level map here, if I find its scene path, if I go to my level select scene, let's make sure this is the right one. Yep. So in my level select scene, I'm going to copy the path, and then back here, script view, I want to go to my game over panel, and I want this to be the path that we're loading, so that we're loading the level select scene instead. Restart reloads the current scene. That makes enough sense to me. Let's look at our game win screen. Game manager, game 1, continue, that's fine. And pause. Okay, cool, that's fine too. Now, I want to test this out here really quickly. I want to play it kind of from the beginning here. So I want to take a look at my levels and make sure that I have a level 1 that works like it should. Alright, cool. Now I'm going to make it so that this has a counter that's reasonable, let's say 120. And then I'm going to start at the very, very, very base menu of my game here. Oh hey, I don't think I actually went over how to do this part with you guys yet. So tiny bit out of order, but I'll fix that soon enough. So I'm going to hit play here. We'll cover this whole parallax background thing. So let's go to level 1, and let's play through. So there we go. Cool. So timer is stopped, we won, continue. Now level 2 is active. If we go to level 2, let's go ahead and lose this one. And let's hit quit. Then level 3 isn't active yet. So we're doing pretty good so far. I'm going to address this very soon. This makes me feel bad because I feel like I thought I had this right, but I didn't. So apologies for this background. We'll fix that soon. Alright, so now let's go back into the grid here and let's take a look at what else we can kind of get rid of. So the game manager set dimensions is good. Sorry for that weird cut. So game manager set dimensions, bottom UI booster. We're going to go through that again here. We got our hint timer timeout. We're going to keep that. Shuffle timer timeout. We're going to keep that. We can get rid of the goal holder game 1 because that's not how we're doing the game 1 state anymore. We can also get rid of the declare game over. But before I go too much further, I want to make sure that by deleting those I haven't broken everything. So let's try this again really fast here. Oh, look at that. Okay. So we need to make sure that it's not declaring a game over until we lost my train of thought there. It's not declaring a game over until everything is settled. So let's fix that. So in our game manager script here, where we're updating our goals or updating our counter, we want to see if not game lost, and I also want to do the, did I call it stable? Board stable and board stable. Alright, let's fix that really quickly here. So we only want it to declare game over if the board was stable. So if we really super did lose. Okay, so that time we lost. Cool, so we shouldn't lose. Cool, alright. I know that this was one of the things that in my Discord community, there's a couple people who are super active and just like the best people in the world, and they've started a list that they call it, is it refactoring or is it me? And I'm pretty certain this was one of them. The idea that you could lose while the board was still in flux, and then you could win after you lost. And so there we go. So that's fixing that issue. All right, now let's go back to the grid here really fast. I was messing around with grid stuff. So our shuffle, remove slime, refill, camera effect. Okay, so that's all of the signals that we need to do. Let's get rid of this here. Now we're going to get back to the booster input and the boosters in general very, very soon. But for now, I'm just going to delete all those comments here. Change move state. I'm actually surprised after 60-some videos, this is nowhere near as bad as some of my projects are that I've spent a lot of time on. So apologies for anybody who's a professional programmer and can think of eight ways to do this better than I could. And if you could, then that's awesome. Please let me know, because I want this to be as good as it possibly can be for everybody. Right now I'm just looking for stuff that I can take out. So I'm just kind of going through here really, really fast. Some passes and some semicolons left over from when I was still really new to Godot. All right. Good. All right. Cool. That's not too bad. Now let's take a look at, I looked at pause, level select scene, get rid of all of this. We just did grid, game over panel, game manager, we're good, game win, and game menu. All right, cool. So let's save all of our scenes really quickly, and then let's have a look at our top UI. So that's the other one that was a little bit of a mess. So I'm going to get rid of this. We don't need the notify of level now. Make goal. So this is making goals. On grid check goal. We don't need that. We're going to need to revisit the ice, making sure that those are part of the goals. Game manager set counter info, set score info, create goal. Alright, that should be fine. So let's save all of these. And let's make sure that things are loading like they should. Okay, mirror. Slid in right under the wire there. Alright, cool. Continue. Now, let's try level 1 again. Actually, let's do this here really quick. Oh, there's an error there. It wasn't updating the goals very well. So that means that I deleted something I probably shouldn't have. So let's see what I did. 2, 1, 0. I just want to make sure that this is gonna, okay. Did I use 2 different color schemes for the game win and the game over? That is weird. Alright, so back in here, what did I get rid of that I maybe shouldn't have? On grid check goal. Update goal values. So is that what I got rid of that I shouldn't have? Yep. Now we've got an issue with the hints. Position on base nil. That's weird. Hold on here just a second. I'm really uncertain about where that error came from. So if you guys encounter that, please let me know. And since this refactor phase that we're in right now is kind of something that's forever gonna change, or not forever, but is gonna be changing, so please let me know if you get that error, and I'll know to look into it some more. But there we go. So we made sure that our game win-lose conditions are both being controlled by the game manager. We verified that they worked. We cleaned up a little bit of code. Now there's one more thing that was brought up in the Discord, and that was that when you leave the level select to go to your level and you come back to the level select, they don't want to be in the same spot all the time. And in the scroll container, there is a way to change that. So I want to say like negative, no, vertical enabled. So there's the current vertical scroll value, which can be changed. So if we do like 150, it's scrolled by 150. So what we want to do is we want to save the scroll value here into a global variable and then read from that when we load this scene and change the vertical to be that value. So let's go to our canvas layer here and let's make a really quick variable. So we'll call this variable scroll value, and I'm going to set it equal to 0 by default. Now in the ready function, which I think I just got rid of in here, I'm going to find out what the scroll value is. So find the previous scroll value if it exists, and if it does, then set the scroll value to that. Now this goes back to the menu. When we choose one of our levels, we want to send a signal to the scroll container that it needs to find out what the scroll value was. So if we go to our level backdrop here, each of these buttons themselves, when you press them, so on texture button press, change scene to level to load, here's where we would need to emit a signal to tell the so we could tell the level backdrop, because these are all children of the level backdrop, to tell the level select scene that it needs to store that value. So let's add a pass here so this isn't angry with me, and let's go through doing that right now. So I want to make a signal, and this signal isn't going to have any arguments with it. I'm just going to call it signal save scroll value, and then we'll emit that signal here. So emit signal save scroll value, and from each of these buttons, I can't do multiple ones like that. From these buttons, I want to connect that value to the backdrop, and this needs to have a script in order to do that. So I could do it through the parent. I could give the parent a script and have the parent, that would be easier. Let's go back here. This is a little off the cuff here, guys, so apologies on this. I just remembered that this was something that was brought up on the Discord, something that people wanted to fix, and I thought I would be faster on this than I am right now. Okay, so let's make a script for our level backdrop here. We're going to have to make sure that it's with both of the level backdrops, because we have these different scenes that are instances of each other. It's level 2 is an instance of level 1. So if I add a script here, it should automatically add to the other one as well. But we'll check that to make sure. This is going to go in my scripts folder. We're going to call it level backdrop. There we go, cool. Create. We're going to create a signal here, and we'll do save scroll value. Now for each of these level buttons, what we want to do is get the parent dot emit signal save scroll value, and I think I can do that. I haven't tested this yet though, so we'll find out. Now that's a signal here, so all I have to do is emit it then in the level select scene from the background itself. So I'm going to connect my save scroll value to the canvas layer, and then when we do that, we'll save the scroll value back. So we'll say that the set the global scroll value to the current scroll value. So var current scroll value is equal to, And I want to set it equal to the scroll container. So $scroll container dot scroll vertical, which is the value that it's been scrolled already. Okay, so let me kind of walk you through and kind of walk myself through what I just did there. So in our level backdrop, when a level button is pressed, and all of them have the same script, we're going to tell the parent to emit a signal to save the scroll value. Then I created a script for the level backdrop that just has that scroll value. In the level select scene, and I'll have to do this for both of these, but for this one, I connected the save scroll value save scroll value signal to the canvas layer, and now it's going to create a variable out of the current scroll value. Now I need to take a look at some of my globals here. So let's open nope, didn't want to do that. I wanted to open. So let's open a script for, I think I called it my game data values, or game data manager. So in game data manager, I'm going to keep another variant for level scroll value. So var level scroll value, I'm going to default that to 0, and then I'll make a function to change level scroll value, and this is going to have a new value to set it to, so we'll call this new value level scroll value is equal to new value. Alright, so this is in the game data manager. If you remember, as an auto load, it's something that is always in the background. So now in my canvas layer, I can set that game data manager dot level scroll value to be equal to that current scroll value. So game data manager dot level scroll value is equal to current scroll value. And then in the ready function here, I can say scroll container dot scroll vertical is equal to game data manager dot level scroll value. There we go. Okay, so now let's test this out here. In our level select scene, let's just run it from here. I want to go down a little bit. So like I've modified this. So I'm going to press 1. Let's win level 1 really fast. And then if we go back, it should save its scroll value if I did this correctly. It did not. Alright, what's wrong? Okay, sorry about that weird cut. I had to go down like a rabbit hole to find the solution to that. So it would seem like this is supposed to work just fine, because what we're doing is we're saving the scroll value to the game data manager, and then when we ready the level select scene, we're reading that value back out and setting our scroll vertical to it. The problem is the scroll vertical actually isn't set when ready is done. It's set in like the next frame. So what we have to do is we have to add another quick little function here to make it wait a frame before it calls ready on the scroll container. So all we have to do under ready is yield, which means to wait. Get tree means to get everything that this scene is based on, and it's going to wait for an idle frame, meaning just one frame. You won't even notice it. And then at the end of the frame, it's going to set the scroll container's scroll vertical value to be whatever is in the game manager. So if we go out of here, let's try this now. So if we hit play, I'm going to scroll down a little bit and then start level 1. And if I go through level 1 really fast here, alright, so we got the UN. So now we're back to where we should be. Alright, so it's a little feature, but it's something that was requested on my Discord, so there we go. So what we've done today is we've gone over game, win, lose. We've cleaned up our code a little bit, and then we've made sure that our game saves the position of the scroll bar when we go back to our level select. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments down below. I'm planning on putting out Godot videos on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So the next Godot video is going to be next Wednesday, where we're going to start taking a look at refactoring our boosters. Next Wednesday, when we start looking at refactoring our boosters. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. You can join my Discord where I'm chatting pretty much every day, and there's tons of really cool people there. Otherwise, I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful day.